Hello. 1 second. Pop myself. Yeah, there you go. Hello. Hope you're all doing well. First, I would like to thank the organizers on pulling on such an amazing conference. I am beyond happy and excited to be among amazing creative in the field. And also, thank you, listeners, for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the talk. So my name is Farah Abdel Hadi. I'm a graphic designer. I'm a PhD researcher at Anglia Ruskin University, Cambridge School of Art, based in UK. Graphic designer, entrepreneur, and also an art director in a firm here based in Dubai. Today I'm gonna take you through my PhD research. One moment titled Modern History of the Arabic Type, the Reforming Projects of the Arabic Script. For today's agenda, I'm going to take you to the historical gap. Also, I'll take you through an overview of early Arabic script reform, my key research questions, archival dive, and my key highlight of my research, which are the 20th century reforming projects. So I would like to first visualize with me something. Imagine one day that your script is written in a total different shapes or writing system, or even adopted from a different language writing system, or maybe removing vowels or short vowels or diacritics out of your writing system, or maybe adopting another vocalization marks from a different language writing system. And that is exactly what happened with the Arabic in the 1940s. So I'm gonna give you a glimpse on the project that was submitted to reform the Arabic, just to give you a heads up on the coming projects or the reforming projects of the Arabic script. So this project was submitted by Ali Shafi'i. It was submitted in the 1943, where he proposed a total change of the Arabic script, which I'll take you through at a later stage in this presentation. So I'm gonna start with uh, identifying that the Arabic script have it wasn't the first time that goes through a reform. So I'm just gonna give you an overview of major early reforms stages in the Arabic script and evolvement that took place, and how the change reflected on continuous reformance of the Arabic script until the current practice. So if you look here, if you notice that there was different stages into reforming the Arabic. So the first one is the script skeleton, and this is how the Arabic was written, um, how the Quran was written of the Arabic. Obviously, it wasn't written in this style. It was written in a old Quranic Kufic. However, the Quran was only inscribed with the basic letter form, which called the Rasm, and targeted specific audience of Quranic scholars. Readers were expected to be familiar with the text to identify the basic letter shapes from the context without any diacritics or vocalization mark, as you can see here in the first one. So with the Islamic conquest and which widely expanded, this led to an increased number of non-Arab nations converts, and this engendered more scribal work. So consequently, the Quran started spreading to less specialized audience, many of whom were non-native Arabic speakers. And this resulted in grammatical mistakes, misspelling, and poor reading. And that is where the stage one of reformment started. The stage one is called niqat, which is basically a diacritical dots system to present short vowels, and is placed toward the end of each word to represent the short vowels. And with that is that because of the so because in the Arabic we have 28 Arabic letters, 18 basic letter forms, 22 have four shape variations, and six of them have two shape variation. So now we have people started uh, emerging a different problem, which is identifying the letter shapes that has the same form. And that is where the second stage occurred, which is called al-i'jam. I'jam is to distinguish the value of each letter that share the same form. And it's also used dots. So jam and dots have the similar definition of the word dots. So now there's another linguistic drift that happened because the two system uses dots. So people started reading the Quran with a lot of error mistakes when differentiating the alphabets, and that is something called tasheef. So reading the Arabic, and when reading the Arabic, it can differ the meaning of the word, and that can be understood in a wrong way. So that's where the stage 3 occurred, which is called shakl or tashkil. So it's more of the two systems. However, one system that uses only dots, and the second system uses dots for the letters that share the same form, and vocalization that you can see over here. These are tashkil uh, for the short vowels, to replace the short vowels. This is just to identify where my research, where my historical research sits. So here was the first Arabic reform, the ones that I just shared with you, and after that there was evolution more of the calligraphic styles of the Arabic. And between the 1800s, that's where the most printing evolution was highly expanded on, and that's where led to the reform that my research highlights, which are between the 20th century. So for me to see what caused the reform in the 20th century, because the first reform was more of the linguistic drift. So what is the linguistic drift right now? So in my research, I have two key questions. The first one was what were the perceived problems of the Arabic script in the 1930s. The second one is more of the future perception, which are how might the Arabic script reform proposed in the projects benefit contemporary digital Arabic type design. And with this presentation, I'm gonna share with you just the first bit of my question. So in order for me to seek my answers, I needed to see who were responsible of the Arabic at that time. And the people who were responsible of the Arabic and the purity of the Arabic were in Egypt. It was in the Academy of the Arabic Language in Cairo. But I also have different lines of contact, whether in the UAE, whether in Tunisia, Spain, France, Morocco. My research expanded way beyond Egypt, but still Egypt was the key people who were responsible of the Arabic in the 1930s. So this is this was taken at the Academy. All right, so the Academy falls under a term called language planners, and this term is taken from the linguistics. So, the role of the language planners are people who preserve the language, and they seek and they are focused on problem solving and evaluate for solving language problems to find the best decision. And at that time, there was multiple academies that were studying the Arabic, and the most active one were the Academy of the Arabic Language in Cairo, and the second one was the Arabic Scientific Academy for it in Damascus. And also, I wanted to highlight something. I almost forgot that language planners isn't all associated with the academies or organization, but also can be taken further into individuals. So individuals who write journals, who write research, or any form of problem solving to an issue, they can be part of language planning. So this is a decree from the Egyptian Ministry of Education. It was under the governmental instruction that the academy have to explore the possibilities of making Arabic more legible, because they were starting to have multiple issues that occurring at that time, which I'm going to share with you right now. So this is a proof that the academy is responsible of the Arabic at that time for, and not just for Egypt, but also all the Arab world. And I want to note something throughout this presentation, which I almost forgot, that when I say anything that people who speaks about the Arabic language, what I'm targeting here are the countries that speaks and write the Arabic language. The Arabic language, yeah. So, I was confused. All right, so here is the an archival dive at the academy. So this is just some pictures of the meeting minutes. I've looked into the establishment of the academy from the 1932 until the 1995, which equals about 50 volumes. Each volume is more or less than 300 to 500 pages, and obviously I was honestly shocked, but I think this was what my best part of my research, honestly. Once it ended, I was like, oh no, I want to look into the archives again. But it was very challenging due to the poor preserving of the minutes of the discussion of the projects, all of that. They had a lot of preserving issues, which I don't want to go more in depth in that. But I mean, I highlighted it in my PhD, in my thesis. However, these are just pictures. I've also looked into the journals. So the Academy also produces journals, which are research that comes from the members of the Academy. And I've looked from 1942 until the 1993. And it's the same, about equals 73 volumes. Each volume is 300 to 500 pages. Here are some pictures of me in the middle of the archives. This is, so with this one, these books are the same of these. These were rewritten from these books due to the lack of preservation. So almost the words are almost gone. So I think in a matter of 2 years or 3 years, I think this, if it's not solved right now, the preserving part, I think the wording will be gone by then. These are some other pictures of the journals. Right. So going back to the question, so what were the perceived problems? So the first problem that kind of opened up the everything else, like, whether studying the orthography, whether studying the mechanism of the Arabic, everything started from translation and transliteration in the 1936. So the academy started because due to the governmental instruction into order more of producing educational books, they started having problems with creating, writing the geographical names, how to write them, what if they're missing sounds, how we can translate them. So this kind of heated discussion between the members of the academy that occurred at that time. So 2 members were actually heavily against supporting adding signs to the Arabic alphabets that convey foreign sounds, such as PMV, and they have wished to, they wish to prevent these signs of acquiring to the new as a new foundation in the Arabic alphabet. And this is an issue that we are actually having right now as well. I don't want to that would go on a whole total other presentation, but anyway, so this is where it's all started. And then the academy have initiated a new committee called Al-Huruf to study these issues, which led to seeking the complexity of the Arabic. So because due to the lack of mechanism, they used to write in typewriters. A lot of diacritics, how they can produce the diacritics and the vocalization mark into the word using this limited resources. So that's where they started looking into, okay, the script, we have a script complexity, how we can solve that. So instead of just jumping into solving, they wanted to go back and seek the fundamentals of the Arabic. So they started seeking if the members of the academy started seeking whether any change into the Arabic would that affect the fundamentals of the Arabic, and what are actually the fundamentals of the Arabic, because it can differ from each practitioner. Um, so they were studying if what if we draw them in this kind of letter shapes, would that affect the letter Sad in here? Or if we put them in these kind of letter shapes, would that, in these shapes, special shapes, would that affect the characteristics of the Arabic? And the discussion continued on and on. What if we what if we detach the Arabic? Would that solve any issues? And it started continuing until it reached a point where the academy have decided to take on. So two members of the academy have decided to study the issues. This is a project by Abdelaziz Fahmy, and it's a fully Latinization Arabic alphabet. And it wasn't the first time that someone proposes Latinization toward the Arabic, but I believe from my research that his proposal was one of the holistic one that approaches full Latinization. So what he did is he proposed an adoption of vocalic Latin alphabet to replace the traditional consonantal Arabic script, and which in his view is the main deficiency of the Arabic, which causes illiteracy, etc. The second one is by Ali Al-Jarim, and this is a quite what he did is in his project is called Al-Jarimi method, or in Arabic is called Al-Tariqa Jarimiyya. And he designed it to address the chief deficiency, which are the vocalization marks, which if you go into the circle, we're like going into circle motion where it is the same issues that we had in the 8th century. So in order to amend this, he proposed a new symbol to the short vowels. And interestingly enough, which I really need to highlight this, when I went to Egypt, I met his son. And his son was telling me that his father was very angry and frustrated from Abdelaziz Fahmy's project, because he was one of the people who devoted himself to the love of Arabic, and now someone's proposing Latinization. So he just wanted to propose any project that can kind of pull off Abdelaziz Fahmy's project, or just try different options that we don't need to Latinize the Arabic to solve any issue. So that's where the academy started seeing that we cannot monopolize the reform of the Arabic to ourselves. We need to expand it on to the worldwide. And this is a quote by Taha Hussein. He says, "The Arabic language are not ours alone. اللغة العربية ليست لنا وحدنا." That's where the academy decided to initiate a worldwide competition, and they have allocated 1,000 Egyptian pounds to facilitate the Arabic orthography. And that was starting from October 1946. The submission to until the 1946. And then this is I found it in a Saudi Arabian newspaper. This is an announcement of extension to the competition, dated. So the extension was a year after an extra year to the competition. And this is one of in my private collection. So what are the competition results? So the academy have received up to 250 to 300 reforming projects. After 4 years of submission, members, none of the projects were demonstrated any scope of implementation. Obviously, it's 4 years past, a lot of things that happened. But also, just to take it into more perspective, the academy was dealing worldwide, World War II. They were dealing with a lot of influence from the outside. They were dealing into the evolution of the mechanism. A lot of environmental change during these years. So yeah, maybe after 4 years, a lot of things that happened. That was one of the reasons that the academy did not push through with the reforming projects or study it. There are some projects that actually went ahead and was actually implemented. I'm not gonna also, if you want to have further discussion, please reach me out. Um, but for the time being, I'm just gonna demonstrate what the academy have um, proposed. So this is a project classification. So this is a classification devised by the academy. I have devised my own project classification as I thought that this one is more of a brief one where it can be expanded into more matrices. So the Academy have proposed radical changes to the Arabic letters, vocalization system, unjoined characters, and educational methods. So for the Latinization, this is one of the projects was submitted by the Abdel Hamid Ibrahim in 1945. He proposed here a full Latinization. He wrote the short vowels within the word, similar to English language. And this is one of my favorites. I'm just going to be subjective here. Yahya al-Batamini in 1955, he proposed a system where he took the Latin characters and he saw which one that looks like the Arabic, and he kind of created the system out of it. And unified Arabic characters. So this is something that we also, oh yeah, so one second, I almost forgot. This one have heavily influenced the Arabic practice right now. The designers use this sort of things when they wanted to Latinize an Arabic logo or display fonts or typefaces. Yeah, this is another one called it's under the category unified Arabic character, and this is a full like detachment of the Arabic, and this is sometimes happen right now if the web browser doesn't support the Arabic, or sometimes you see a tattoo that is written that way, or whenever the software isn't supported by the Arabic. So vocalization, this is another project. So similar to the first one, the Latinization, but this is with the Arabic. So he took the short vowels of the Arabic and implemented them within the word. And this was submitted in the 1958. I would like to conclude by a quote that I really love, which by Peter T. Daniels. And he says, language is a natural product of the human mind. While writing a deliberate product of the human intellect, language continually develops and changes without the conscious of interference of its speakers. But writing can be petrified or reformed or adopted at will. Thank you so much. Just last bit. I wanted to know that you can follow me on, you can reach me out on any of the social handles, and also if anyone has an insight or wants to discuss this further, you are welcome to reach me out, and I would love to have a conversation about it. Thank you.